You see, Western Christianity has, for the most part, laid the axe to their own root. They've actually sawn off the branch that they were sitting upon, not realizing that they've actually fallen to the floor and been trampled by the Gentile nations. That's the insanity of it all. You just sawed off the branch from which you were sitting upon, and now you've been trampled underfoot by the Gentile nations. The church triumphant, and this is so sad to say, but the church triumphant has become indistinguishable from the nations because it has been trodden and soiled within the culture where it lays as a bare branch, and all the fruit has been plucked off and eaten by the birds of the air. Welcome to the 21st century religion that is served up to you every Sunday morning. It is a dry branch that's fruit has been picked off by the birds of the air, and it is indistinguishable from the world because they were sitting on a branch and they sawed it off of the very tree that supports them. And this is where you and I have to pick ourselves up off of the ground and go and say, we are the Zion that needs to be partaker of the tree and the fatness thereof. And the only way we will ever do that is by recognizing who the root is. Yes. Who is the root? None other than the master arborist himself. Verse 20. True. Because of unbelief they were broken off, and you stand by faith. Be not arrogant, but fear. For if Yahweh spared not the cultivated branches, God, he may not spare you either. So therefore, the kindness and severity of Yahweh on those who fell severity, but towards you, kindness. If you continue in his kindness, otherwise you too, you'll be cut off as well. You see, within the olive tree analogy, the question always arises, who are God's people? You got this group over here saying they're the chosen people. You got this people. Who are God's people? Number one, the Jews. No. Number two, the church? No. Number three, the state of Israel? No. You've just messed up my religion and my politics in 3 words. Right? And now you're a racist or something. I mean, they've got to label you, right? To shut you up. Got to stick a label on you. Hope that you'll back down. Because that's what we do today in the 21st century. If you say something that I don't like, I'm going to come up with a name and call it to you to try and get you to back down. You're a Nazi. You're a racist. You're a fascist. And you... oh, you're an anti-Semite. Anything to get you to back down, because that is what the school system does. Intimidation, fear to spineless cowards that will be outside of the gates. But you shall not fear man, saith Yahweh, but you shall stand and walk to Zion through the strength and anointing of my Son. That you shall not fear when you look to the left, you look to the right. But you shall look straight and follow and walk in the ways of the Son. And you have nothing to fear. But that is all that they know to do, because they are terrified of man. But we're a different people. So when you get labeled, Mabel, know that you're doing the right thing. But saying that, there are in fact 3 distinct subgroups at present that are included amongst Yahweh's one people Israel. There is one people Israel, but there are in fact three distinct subgroups within the one people Israel today. Number one, enlightened, regenerated Jews. But I can't stop there because you're all going to start thinking about something that's not true. So the first subgroup within Israel is enlightened, regenerated Jews. But this is a transracial grouping of both regal Negroes and Fehalim farmers, which are both the original inhabitants of the land. In modern times, they're misidentified as Palestinians, many of them Christians, and some not, and African Negroes. Both are the legitimate house of Judah, the natural branches that are part of the cultivated tree. Number two, there's dispersed Ephraim Israel, often found mixed within the Anglo-Saxon nations. Anglo-Saxon, sons of Isaac, within the Anglo-Saxon nations. They're awakened, they've woken up to their identity, but they are the wild olive branches which have been grafted in to the cultivated olive tree. That's you, maybe. It's certainly me. And then there is number three, the unregenerate Jews. The unregenerate Jews, both the Negro and the Palestinian Fehalim, the natural branches which have been broken off the cultivated olive tree, and they have been trampled by Muhammad in Gaza, trampled by Muhammad in Jordan, Syria, and the nations. They've been laid waste by Islam, which is, of course, a bare tree, unable to bear fruit. This is more than you see today. More and more Negroes and Palestinians have been shackled and enslaved by the Mohammedans than any other people group on the face of the planet. And who invented infernal slavery? None other than Islam. So it is so sad when you see the Negro that is enslaved by the Mohammedans, because they invented infernal slavery. And we've already spoken about this in depth in the Migration of Judah teaching. But I want to continue, if you're paying attention, with our horticultural analogy. Because the Ashkenazi are not, listen, this is going to offend some people, they are not natural branches of the olive tree as commonly taught. They are, in fact, none other than an invasive species of the Caucasian alder. Now, the Caucasian alder is, its actual name is the Alnus subcordata, and it is a tree that is grown in the Turkic Caspian region. So this is where we find now in our horticultural analogy, the Ashkenazi are in fact none other than the Caucasian alder, Alnus subcordata, which is a broken Turkic branch. A broken Turkic branch. And the Negro Mohammedans are but another invasive species, fallen branches from the black alder, of course, the Alnus glutinosa, and these all originate in the Caspian Hyrinikian forest. This is the origin of it. And we're talking about what? Horticulture, using these analogies, and we can see now that there is a huge deception that people are buying into. because they're not understanding why Paul is using this analogy to explain the ethnic, racial, and what? Healing unity of Israel.